Okay, my thoughts and my kind of suggestion to people, it really is about, okay, I've done it. I've been this doom scroller. I've been on the internet for absolute years. So I've kind of like seen what it's all about. And what I do now, and if anybody else that's listening can kind of resonate with this, but do you know what? Go for your news items twice a day only. Beginning and end of the day, and only give it half an hour. It's true, but from a good source. Go to your chosen.
But Tracy, how
look
do you,
source,
Tracy,
because otherwise you're going to be there all day and all night. I've been there under the bed.
Tracy, that sounds so eminently sensible, and I can tell that you're so sensible. But how do you avoid social media? Because the minute you get on Twitter, you're not always going to look at you're going to look, but it's there. You can't avoid it.
I know, but you're going to have to. You've got to, because it's not real most of the time. You go down a rabbit hole, you scroll, you press a button, it takes you to a place, and then you start going down a direction that's really not good. And it's honestly, right, I'm not being funny, but you need to direct yourself attention in a different direction. Now, I've done it this week, because last week, can I just say, I had the phone right in my bed, I'm watching everything playing off, I'm there, and I'm like, everything that's going on, I'm like, husband's asleep, I'm waking him up.
And you're doom scrolling in bed, next to him.
And I've chosen now to think, you know what, I'm going to go twice a day. And this week, it's helping me so much, because I'm living my day, I'm living my life. Right, and I can go down the rabbit hole. I can easily.
In a quarter of a mile, at Wagoners Roundabout, take the second exit onto the Parkway, A312.
Take some respite from it, because I need to gather my energy, really. I mean, this morning.
Tracy, right, I'm not going to go this morning. Tracy, I want to get calls in. Thank you so much for calling, Tracy. Hannah in North Lincolnshire. Hannah.
Hi David, thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to ring up really as a parent of a 10-year-old. So she's quite a mature 10-year-old, and she has a relatively nice life, I would say. But she goes to school and she comes home now and she's saying to me, my friends have told me that World War III is going to happen, and they don't know what might happen and what might happen to us, and what if they come here. And of course her experience of war is what she learns at school is World War II and World War I, and she thinks, this is catastrophic, which it is. But what I've tried to
exit the roundabout onto the Parkway.
Hit the nail on the head, really.
Continue on the Parkway for 1 mile.
I'm honest with her, and I tell her the things that I think she might relate to. So, for instance, there was a photograph, and I must say I didn't show her the photograph, but I described it to her, of a 6-year-old little girl in Ukraine whose mum had been killed in a shelling. And this little girl, there's a photo of her on a hospital bed, and the medics have done all they can to save her. And she lay there, we just chose over her. And I said to my daughter, for her, it is real, and this is really happening. And that made her really stop and think, well, actually, it is real, and it is scary for some people, but what we need to recognise is that it's not us at the moment, and for her to understand that there are children for whom life isn't as lovely as hers is, and to understand that. And
we tend, Hannah, you make me think that we're living in an era where we tend to want to overprotect our kids. It's probably a good thing being exposed to understanding at her age that there are children really who are not as fortunate as she is.
And my husband and I, and my mum actually, we always try to kind of make her understand aspects of the news. But I think, if anything, the pandemic made her realise that mummy, daddy, granny, we don't have the answers. And I think she'd always expected to do. But all of a sudden, we can't give her the answers. And this again, we're saying to her, we don't have the answers. We don't know how this will end. We don't don't know what might happen, but what we do know is this, and this is real for some people, and just getting her to empathise, or at least sympathise. Maybe empathise is a bit hard for a 10-year-old to think about a Ukrainian child in the middle of the war, but to understand a bit more about what it's like
Hannah,
for children her age in other countries.
thank you so much for calling in and sharing that with us. I'm sure many parents will have taken heart from that. Rob in Maidstone. Rob.
In a quarter of a mile, at Cranford Parkway interchange, take the second exit onto the M4 slip road to Heathrow Airport, M25.
Health problem. So I was hoping I could share some of the coping strategies that I've had to learn, so that people who've never experienced these things could learn from them. And the other is that my master's research was on psychological well-being.
Okay, we haven't got long, Rob, so
Okay,
get
so
to it.
the first thing to do is hypervigilance, because it's everywhere all the time. You need to make spaces where you turn off your phone and you do your normal things. Then you need to be thinking about what it's black and white thinking. So it's either all good or all bad. So we follow the news cycle and think of it that way. You need to be able to do the nuance. What's going on?
Exit the roundabout onto the slip road.
What can I do? How do we do those?
In a quarter of a mile, merge onto M4.
You need to be pro-social. So you need to be able to connect to other people and share the fact that these things are causing you anxiety. Those are really the basic three to get you started.
Rob, that's very, very, very sound advice. Have you managed it during this crisis yourself?
I'm in long-term therapy, so I've been able to take my concerns there. But I am aware that people who've never had any mental health issues are struggling because they don't know about some of the simple things. Take a walk, be mindful.
Continue on M4 for 3 miles.
Filter some of these things. Have honest conversations with your kids. These are things that we can all do, because at the moment we all feel powerless.
Very.
And that's one of the biggest drivers of the anxiety. So if you feel you need to donate to a charity, donate. If you feel you need to write to your MP and tell them what you think should happen, do it. But don't get caught up in the maelstrom that says either all is good or all is bad. Putin and Russians are evil, Zelensky and Ukraine are saints. Because it's not as simple as that. Because as well as Ukrainians dying, there are Russian soldiers dying. And they're leaving grieving families, like the Ukrainian families. So it's about, can you ground what's going on around you?
Rob, that was such sound advice. Thank you so much for calling in. More of your calls after the break. I'm asking, how do we balance staying informed about the conflict but also protect our mental health? Call me on 0345 6060 973. It's 6:30. It's time for the news with Simon Morgan.
Fighting has raged near Kiev, with heavy shelling in other areas of Ukraine, stopping new attempts to evacuate trapped civilians. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Moscow is sending in new troops after Ukrainian forces put 31 of Russia's battalion tactical groups out of action. France says a three-way phone call, including Germany, shows Russian President Vladimir Putin has showed no readiness to end the war. The office of the French President Emmanuel Macron says the call was very frank and also difficult. And hundreds of people laid candles and daffodils in Winchester Cathedral during a special service for the crisis in Ukraine. Jewish, Christian and Muslim leaders gave powerful speeches during the vigil. The weather tonight, wet and windy conditions remain for the southwest and parts of South Wales. Northern and eastern areas will turn cloudy with outbreaks of rain overnight, lows of 6. For Sunday, rain will move northeastwards during the morning, scattered showers in the west, but turning drier elsewhere, highs of 11.
This is LBC.
Pizza!
Food's here.
Oh, great. I'm starving.
Right, you lot, come on in. One at a time. That's it. Pile the pieces over there. Careful, Shaz, don't drop them.
Stop.
You next, they'll stack them up.
Stop.
That's it. Pile those pieces.
Stop! What's all this?
The pieces you rang for. Where's the rest of you?
What do you mean?
You said bring enough for 200 people.
Hungry. I said 2 hungry people.
Whoa.
Need a hearing test? Should have gone to Specsavers. Book online today.
Where do you want the garlic bread?
AJ Value Invest gives you the security and control to look after your investments, whether it's a stocks and shares ISA or a self-invested personal pension.
In a quarter of a mile, keep right to stay on M4.
You work hard for your money, and we want it to work hard for you. So get investing in your future at youinvest.co.uk. Open an account by the 5th of April to beat the tax year deadline.
Keep right to stay on M4.
Advice. Capital at risk. Tax rules apply.
Hi, I'm Dr. Nikki Kanani, GP and Medical Director of Primary Care in England. COVID-19 is still with us, so it's good that 12 to 15-year-olds can now get a second COVID-19 vaccine. Vaccines give your children the best possible protection against the virus and help to keep them in school. Get your 12 to 15-year-old vaccinated 12 weeks after their first dose. Book online or find your nearest walk-in centre at nhs.uk/COVID vaccination.
Booking a hotel can be a bit of a hassle. The fake reviews, the endless options, not to mention the fear of getting a bad deal. But with Premier Inn, you can cast all those worries aside, because with us you know exactly what you're getting. Like great value family rooms at over 800 locations, plenty of parking, and delicious food to please everyone, even the fussy ones. So you can family trip without any of the faff. Premier Inn. Rest easy. Only available to book at premierin.com.
Hey, business types, meet Ed. Ed's head is always in the clouds. Can you hear us up there, Ed? He knows it's time to update his business phones to something smarter and simpler, like Circaloop, the new app-based phone system that connects everyone, everywhere. It's easy to set up and easy to use, with no clunky hardware, no contracts, and no overblown costs. Hey, Ed, come down and get your free 7-day trial at circaloop.com. Circaloop, now you're talking.
I'm sorry. You have progressive memory loss.
When you hear these words, the outlook is bleak. But at Recognition Health, the brain and mind experts, we're working to change that. Volunteer for our clinical studies to receive free access to a new generation medication, as well as comprehensive medical screening. With your help, we can change the future of MCI and Alzheimer's disease.
You have progressive memory loss. But here's what we can do.
Go to brainandmindexperts.com.
Leading Britain's conversation, LBC, with David Lammy.
Joe says, I've been in complete shock since the 24th.
In a quarter of a mile, keep right to stay on M4.
Thinking about the possibility of escalation. This war needs to end with Putin's end. People don't deserve to be on the edge all the time with nuclear weapons in the hands of a madman. Is this what the Cold War was like?
Keep right to stay on M4.
Cold War, of learning about nuclear weapons for the first time and being just so horrified as a child, so scared.
Continue on M4 for 4 miles.
Constantly playing it over in my mind. Anne-Marie says my anxiety levels have shot through the roof and I'm just so upset about what's happening in Ukraine. I can't help watching the news and listening to LBC avidly. The horror of what is happening has taken me over. Rue says, hi Lisa here. I'm constantly watching the news about Ukraine and I have this sinking feeling that I need to prepare for the worst. I grew up in the troubles of Northern Ireland and the situation in Ukraine is bringing back the anxiety I felt before. Susan in St Anne's in Lancashire.
Hello, yeah. I agree with listening to the other people you've just had on. I'm the same. I'm very, very anxious. Constantly listening to the LBC, and I've got the news on morning and night. My partner says, "Oh, you're not watching that again." And my son's the same. He says, "You can only control what you got. You can't control everything." But it's just, I've got that same feeling of doom.
Susan, were you anxious before?
Well, with the pandemic, I've always been a bit of a nervous person. I mean, there is mental health in my family, but
yes.
I do sports therapy, you see, so I was very anxious when the COVID came in. I was always wearing a mask, and for the 2 years it's been going on, I'm still wearing a mask, and I've still got, I think I've got COVID, so I was anxious then, and I'm not sleeping at all. I'm not sleeping at all, but during the COVID part, I'm an athlete, so I got injured, so I wasn't training,
little bit too much. Get yourself in a bit of a state, and to be honest, when I look back at all, I don't know how I got through that, and now you're just getting back to normality, and then this has happened, and it's just, I've got that same feeling of complete doom, because this Putin just
But Susan, why can you not, as the advice was a bit earlier, of course you got to watch the news, but why do you have to have it on the whole time? Can you not have it, just put it on for the 6 o'clock, 1 o'clock?
In 2 miles, at junction 6, take the A355 exit to Slough Central.
Delete your social media. Just sort of press it shakes up and down, and you sort of delete it. You just get rid of the app on your phone. Just get rid of it for just a week. You can get it back again in a week's time, but just get rid of the social media for, or maybe even 2 days, but just have a break this weekend. Do you think you could do that?
Oh yeah, it's not so much I'll listen to it on my phone. I've got you on all the time.
Oh, okay, LBC. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's very hard for me on LBC to say, can you switch it off? But what you could do is just listen to my show on a Saturday afternoon. And my mate James O'Brien in the middle of the day instead of the whole day. Nick Ferrari's not going to be very happy with me for saying that, but you know what I mean.
I do. There's something strange, because it's not an attraction, is it, to be attracted to people on the news? It's so destroying watching it. I just feel helpless. I just wish I had a big hotel and I'd be getting everybody here. But you can't do anything, you can't.
But Susan, I need to say to you now, and I'm saying this to all LBC listeners, and this is not on the basis of me being a presenter, this is on the basis of me doing my job as Shadow Foreign Secretary. This could go on for months. So you've got to ask yourself, on day 17, Susan, can you sustain the news cycle, whether it's on LBC or not? Can you sustain turning on the TV? Can you sustain that for months, Susan? Particularly after you come out of the pandemic and you said you had anxiety before that. And the answer to that is probably no. So given that I'm telling you today on day 17 that we could be on day 77 and it's still horrendous, Susan, and you can do something about your mental health between day 17 and day 77. Yeah?
You've got to just stop watching it.
In a 1/4 mile, at junction 6, take the A355 exit to Slough Central.
I don't know what I'm looking for when I put it on. It's not going to change, is it? It's just watching the same sadness, and it's only going to get worse, like you said. I don't know what I'm expected to see or hear.
Yes.
It's different.
Susan, you're being really frank, really honest. I think there are
exit at junction 6.
Thousands of people listening, and they're nodding as you're speaking because they're doing exactly the same thing. Yeah. I mean, in a way, it's my job.
In a 1/4 mile, at the roundabout, take the 3rd exit onto Tons Lane, A355.
Day after day, week up. I've just been living in it, and I've been living with it since December when I took this job because I knew it was coming. But that's my job. I'm paid to do that, as it were. I'm paid to be, and there's only one Shadow Foreign Secretary. I keep saying Justice, that was my old job. Shadow Foreign Secretary. So and to whom much is given, much is expected. So I have to do that. But you don't, Susan. You don't have to do it.
I know. It's just been hard, hasn't it? It's been hard for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Like one of your other listeners were saying, get some gardening on. In my case, try and run. Just get some
anything, Susan. Cooking, anything. Anyway, I'm going to leave that with you. But if we return to this, call me back and tell me how you did. Catherine in Newcastle. Catherine.
Hello.
Hi, Catherine.
Hi. No, I was just saying to whoever it was who took the phone calls that
exit the roundabout onto Tons Lane.
Like every time I can remember Eddie Mayer coming on, it's like
Ukraine.
Continue on A355 for 1 mile.
It's gonna stress me out. So I've had to turn over to some awful music radio station, and then I turned over, and Sheila Fogarty was on one afternoon, and she was doing a phone-in about what are you doing to sort of support people and what are you doing to help. And I kept on listening, and it was just lovely to hear the positive things that people were doing and what they wanted to, people, you know, I know we're seeing the worst of humanity at the minute, but I think at times we're seeing the best as well, and so for some reason that sort of made me feel a little bit less
anxious.
And anxious, yeah. And then the other thing is, I feel like I can throw myself into something to help. So I think when the information comes out about sponsoring a refugee and having somebody, I've got a spare room, I'll take somebody in. I'm happy to. I would love to, you know. And I'm privileged enough to be able to do that, and I will do that. And I think instead of just, you know, getting yourself embroiled in sort of, I'm not on any social media, I hasten to add, because I think it's the scourge of society, but, you know, just throw yourself into positive stuff instead of sort of constantly watching the news, think like...
In 200 yards, turn right onto Cranbourne Road.
...local centre that's collecting clothes, or sort your wardrobe out and send those clothes over to Ukraine, or, you know, like you said before, donate...
Turn right onto Cranbourne Road.
They turn a negative into a positive, because there's nothing positive coming out of Ukraine, but, you know, focus your energies into something better, I suppose.
Catherine, what fantastic advice. Absolutely. We can be, you know, you can find silver linings despite the horrors. You can find a more positive, constructive way to engage with the crisis. God bless you. Thanks for calling in. Grace in Ealing. Grace.
Hi. Yeah, as the previous caller said, exercise is good. In part because it helps, because you mentioned earlier sleep flight. I find that exercising a lot, particularly weightlifting, really does help you get to sleep. And also obviously releases serotonin.
I mean, I've got to tell you, I'd started running months ago. Listeners have heard this before. I haven't run for at least 3 weeks because I've been so caught up in all of this. And I'm determined tomorrow, I'm absolutely determined on my day off, come 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, to go on a 5k run. I'm hoping with my wife.
In 200 yards, turn right onto Twinches Lane.
Because I've got to get the exercise back. Never mind the weight that's coming.
I mean, for myself personally, I have a belief in God, having thought that the philosophical and scientific and historical reasons for that.
Turn right onto Twinches Lane.
It doesn't sound ridiculous to me, Grace. Amen. Amen. Totally with you on that. Pray. Prayer and faith are good things. I know we're living in a world where it's not good to be religious, but we forget that millions and millions and millions of people are. And I am one of them. Grace, thank you for calling in. I'm asking you, how do we balance staying informed about the conflict but also protect our mental health? Call on 0345 6060 973. This is David Lammy here, and LBC at the time now.
In 300 yards, turn left onto Bath Road, A4.
As the conflict in Ukraine continues to escalate, I'm asking, what next? What do you think will happen and what should?
Natasha Devon on LBC.
There's no better feeling than finally ticking something big off your to-do list. And that's how it feels to sell your car.
Turn left onto Bath Road, A4.
Compete to give you the best price, meaning you could get more than you expected for your old car. And once you've found the perfect price, you can sit back and relax. They pick your car up from home for free. This is the way. This is the Motorway. And for your chance to win £1,000, head to lbc.co.uk.
So you now earn me not just one, but 1.5 membership rewards points on every pound when we spend 20k. It's fair to say you've got a bright future.
Thanks, boss. I'm an Amex Business Gold Card, so I'm just doing my job.
Not anymore. Now
in 200 yards, turn right onto Lee Road.
You've earned it.
I won't let you down.
The American Express Business Gold Card. The card that works harder for your business. Search Amex Business Gold.
Terms apply. 18 plus, subject to approval. No annual fee in first year. £175 thereafter. Basic card also available with no annual fee or benefits.
Morrison's Market